Hello traders and welcome back to my YouTube channel IPDATrader. Now in today's video we are going to be focusing on higher time frame buyers, identifying direction, things of that nature, right? I do see many people that get caught up on the lower time frame, and once again I use the lower time frame myself and I do think it's fine, but many people fail to realize that the lower time frame will never provide you with a bigger picture or with an overall understanding of where a market could be potentially heading. So I'm going to be trying my best to provide you with a little bit of guidance when it comes to understanding those different components in the markets. This is just an example of a trade that I took this week. I shared this with my group. Not that I do it too often in terms of giving stop loss entry, take profit, things like that, but I did share it on this one. It was a very straightforward trade. It really came down to the understanding of the higher time frame, the liquidity pools, and the POI selection. So in this particular video, once again, we're going to be focusing on the simple understanding of higher time frame bias and direction, right? Where are we bullish? Are we bearish? Things like that, where I get lots of questions regarding that topic. So I'm hoping I can clarify some of that information for you guys. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be jumping into a backtesting software so that we can see candles actually print, as I do believe that that is going to be a significantly better way of explaining the different concepts that I want to go through today. So, with all that being said, guys, if this sounds like something you want to learn today, make sure you stick to the entire video because I'm going to be trying my best to provide you with the very best information. So, let's get started with today's lesson. So traders, before we get into the actual video of today, just a very quick word from our sponsor today, AAAFX. AAAFX is a regulated broker in Europe. They've been in the industry for over 14 years now, which gives you a lot of confidence when it comes to depositing money into the broker. They offer very competitive and tight spreads. They allow you to trade pretty much anything you want, including Forex, indices, commodities, stocks, and cryptocurrencies. They also offer a ECN Plus account, which is something that I've not seen with any other broker, which essentially means that you're not paying commissions, which is a very good edge on its own. So I can just recommend them as a broker. I've been using them for a while. Their liquidity feed is very accurate. Their customer service is always available to help you. So I can just recommend them as a broker. So once again, thank you very much to AAFX for sponsoring this video. You will find the link in the description below. Sign up with them and enjoy the great trading conditions. Now into today's lesson. All right, traders. So as we said before, we're going to be using the backtesting software. And yeah, we're using MT4. As I said in the past, I don't trade MT4 nowadays, but I do have this indicator linked to this particular software. So this is what we're going to be working with. Let's now quickly go through this. Let's say we want to backtest 2019 and we want to do August the 1st. Okay, so Thursday. We're going to end here. We're going to use some data from the past because that's going to be relevant, and we're going to be backtesting EURUSD. So let's start the simulator. The next thing that we need to do is add the charts, right? So I'm going to be breaking down the different charts and what I use them for, right? So let's add the weekly and the daily, which I use to gauge overall direction. Once again, I'm not doing any sort of big analysis on these two specific time frames, but I'm trying to gauge and read direction, and you're gonna see my exact process in doing so today, right? So daily and weekly, once again, I use them for overall direction. I'm not trying to determine any POIs. I'm not really focusing on the liquidity. I'm just trying to see what's overall happening in the markets and where we could be potentially headed. Now, when we talk about the 4-hour and on TradingView, I use the 2-hour and the 1-hour. Here on the MT4, we only have 1 hour, which is fine. I use them for POI selection, including the M30 time frame as well for POI selection, structure analysis, and liquidity reading. Very, very important. 15-minute, I usually use that for refinement, and 5-minute and 1-minute, and the 3-minute is usually used for executions, right? So let me quickly summarize this because this is very important. You have to be able to determine what time frame serves what purpose so that you do not get confused trying to identify structure in too many time frames, not really seeing the bigger picture, and getting caught up on the lower time frame executions, which happens quite frequently for many, many traders, as I've seen that throughout the years. So once again, weekly and daily, you want to be using this for overall direction, 1 hour till the 30-minute, potentially 15-minute for POI selection, structure analysis, liquidity reading, all of that. So your main analysis is done using these time frames, and you want to be using the 5-minute and the 1-minute for potential executions, and only after you've understood what you are expecting from the higher time frame, right? So it's very, very straightforward. It just requires a little bit of organizing yourself in terms of what you want to do. So let's go ahead and let's open some charts so that we can have some information to be working with, okay? Now that we have this, I'm actually going to have to pause the recording because I have to make the charts look pretty in terms of the colors, the tools on the top left corner so that I can provide you with great analysis. So give me a second over here, guys. I will pause the video, I will get the charts ready, and then we'll start with the bias and direction analysis. All right, everybody. So the charts are ready. The tools are there. So let's get started over here. I haven't really looked at it yet. So we're going to be doing this right here, right now. So looking at this very limited information that we do have on the weekly, there's really not much to read just because there's not much information to the left of price, right? But what we can see, guys, and this is what you have to do as well. You can see multiple highs over here, right? We have these highs. We have these highs over here. We have a sweep above them. You can see we have an FU candle on the left that we mitigate. We then go ahead and break below a low. So we understand that, hey, we've broken down. If we can get this, this is likely to happen next. But this is just based on the weekly. As I said, I don't do POI selection or too in-depth structure analysis. I'm just trying to gauge what's overall happening. And for me, what's overall been happening in this market with this information that we have over here is that we have had some highs being taken into a POI that led into a aggressive down move that clears structure on the left. Okay, that's just based on the weekly. We don't really need to talk much further about this. We can now safely say that we can move on to the daily. So on the daily, it's a little bit easier. It's more clearer to see, and we can see the same story just with a little bit more of a detail, right? We can see the same pool of highs over here. We had one pool of lows over here as well, right? We have this order block, which was the weekly wick that we talked about, that we mitigated, and we started moving down. Now that we did that, we can see that we had some trend and liquidity building. We squeezed that, we moved down. We've now taken the low over here. So we could see a pullback into this structure over here that could lead into a further move down, right? It's just the same story. As you can see, I'm building this story, but I'm having a little bit more of a detail in that, okay? So that's just on the daily. We can now move on to the 4-hour, and we will be able to see more information once again, right? So if I do this, we'll be able to go to the left. And if I zoom out, we can see that this is where our information starts, right? So looking at this market, it's very easy to see that we've traded below a pool of liquidity right over here, right? We can see the sets of lows over here, multiple lows being taken. So we could see that retracement into a breaker block over here that could lead into a further down move, right? So let's start doing some proper analysis. Let's remove all the drawings. Let's zoom in a little bit further, and let's get into the important information. So for me, in this market, it's very simple. I would label this as a break right over here. I do understand that this could be a liquidity grab, based on the liquidity pool that we spoke about on the left. That could lead into a further up move. Maybe we mitigate some structure, maybe we clear some liquidity over here, right? So once again, I'm gonna be working with this break, this POI over here, this FU that we can see, that we mitigated. We have this breaker over here with the imbalance to the right of it. So once again, this is a key price point over here that we can go ahead and label. So let's add a line on that particular price point. Let's make this a little bit better and easier to see. So we're going to choose blue, and we have a level over there on the 4-hour only, right? So it's very, very straightforward, really. Let's move on to the 1 hour. 1 hour is giving us the very same information, right? The pull, the break, the move down, the potential of moving up now to mitigate a block and then continue to drop, or to move further up based on the fact that we've cleared the liquidity pool on the left. So that's really the story that I'm seeing here. It's either going to be a move up to mitigate a block and drop, or a move up that's going to be extended based on the fact that we've cleared a pool of liquidity, right? So this segment of price, and we're actually going to once again make this a little bit easier to see with gray, draw as in background. We have an area over there of interest, right? This block over here is a point of interest where we could look for a short based on the higher time frame narrative and the higher time frame bias. We have a level over here, right, that you could say this is a level. We have this unmitigated low. This is part of the breaker on the lower time frame. So what we're going to actually be doing is, instead of using a line, we're going to be able to add a rectangle and draw it out as such, right? So we have these two areas of interest for me. So with that being said, we're actually going to clone this. I would love to add this as the break of structure, but we cannot do that on MT4, right? So I would rather use this particular tool over here. This is the break on the 1 hour. This is your range high, external point of structure over here, external point of structure over here. You can take a fib and you can measure from high to low and see if this POI is discounted or not, and look for a short at that particular price point. Very, very simple analysis. So let's clone these areas over here. So let's object clone. We need to clone them on the 30 minutes, on the 15 minute. Okay. So now we're having the very same information, just once again with a little bit more of a detail. These are valid shorts area for me. This is a valid short area for me based on the narrative and based on the selection. Once again, you're free to refine it to this candle. You maybe want to use the entire block. You may want to use the half of it. Whatever you want to do with that, that's up to you. I'm just giving you the story, right? What I would do as well is probably outline and denote this over here, right, which is a potential buy-in area based on the fact that we've cleared the liquidity pool on the left, that potential shorts have been trapped. Once again, if we refer to the daily, this is the liquidity pool that I'm talking about. This set of lows that has been cleared. So we know that shorts have been potentially initiated below the area, right over here, as we trade below this. So we could trap and squeeze them to the opposite direction before we continue and resume bearish, right? So that's the narrative, that's the bias, right? We get a bias by constructing a narrative and story on what price is doing from a higher time frame perspective, okay? And this is just exactly what I've done by looking at the multiple time frames and gauging direction. You must understand the bigger picture in order to anticipate price movement, and do not make the mistake of getting caught up on the lower time frame as well. Right, so let's start playing price now, and let's see, because this, once again, this low over here could be a buying opportunity, right? You want to confirm this area, but we don't want to, we're not going to be doing this in this video, because confirmations, which I've extensively spoken about in multiple videos, is not the topic that I want to cover here today. Otherwise, this video would be extremely long. So just understand that you want to confirm this area before you look for a long at this price point, and you anticipate the retracement into these areas over here before you can then consider looking for a short. This exaggerated wick over here is also an interesting area what price could tap into. So we're going to outline this, because if you start seeing rejections right at this price point, there is no point in continue holding expecting that it's going to pull through and that you're going to get to your ultimate take profit. You do sometimes have to adapt, and that is all well and good and just part of the game and what we do as traders. Okay, so let's start now playing price over here, and we're going to see what's going to happen. So let me do this. Let's grab this. Let's speed this up and let's go through this. Once again, as we tap into that area, you could potentially look for a confirmation on the lower time frame, okay? But just for the sake of this video, once again, right, based on the narrative, you could expect price to bounce here and move further up, especially with the clearing of liquidity, internal range liquidity that has been done right at this point. You can see the little trend line being squeezed on the way down, so that is a great indication as well. You want to usually confirm that area, but just once again, for the sake of this video, let's say that we want to look for a risk entry, which I would not advise unless you're looking at a origin block with a break. But once again, for the sake of this video, let's say that we want to take a risk, 1%. You want to do visual mode. You want to take a buy right over here. You would put your stop significantly below the low, just in case it squeezes and then moves further up, right? So this would be a trade example. If we had confirmation over here, we're gonna assume that we have confirmation to go up, okay? So let's play price. Over here, we're tapping into the block and we do not get a confirmation, right? So that's once again what you would have potentially done, which is wait for the confirmation. If it does not and wants to clear the liquidity pool further, which it is doing right now, you want to then wait for, once again, this particular formation that I'm going to be showing you over here. You would then wait for price to break structure to the upside, pull back into demand, and then move up. Okay? As you can see here, we didn't really have a break. It was just a retracement before we continued further down at that point. Okay, so let's continue playing price. Maybe we want to go to a 1 hour. We want to do this and wait for the actual confirmation to either go long or go short. As we said, we want to short over here, potentially over here and over here. And if we want a long, we need to see a break first of structure shifting bullish. Once we get that, we can then take the trades, right? But as I said, you don't want to take the entry over here, which I did for the video, unless you had a confirmation, because there's no saying that we could not drop further down, which we obviously did, right? If we go to the lower time frame, we can see that we did not have a confirmation, right? It was just pull back up, mitigate this particular block over here, and move further down, right? You want to really see and wait for those confirmations if you're looking for executions, unless once again you're trading the higher time frame, a origin block with a break and a higher time frame narrative supporting that idea. Okay, so yeah. Let's go to the 30 minutes. Let's see if we can identify some sort of break, and then we'll wait and see what's going to happen. So let's speed this up. Let's potentially go to a slightly higher time frame right over here. The 1 hour, the 30-minute is good. Once we break up off this area over here, we could consider this as a break, right? As long as we hold below that, we're still very, very bearish in my opinion, and there's no reason to go long, right? As you can see, we're pushing further down. Now that we've let me pause this. Now we've cleared the lows right over here. So this could be a potential scenario where you anticipate price to move up and to break the structure on the left, right over there, right? Just because we've had the clearing of the lows, we know that we've cleared a pull on the higher time frame, right? And we know that stops have been taken below this area. We've rejected that. We could potentially start moving up right at this point over here, to be honest. So yeah, we're just gonna wait. We're gonna see what's gonna happen. I'm just sort of going through the ideas that I'm seeing as price develops, right? But we should expect potentially move up to unfold as we're seeing over here, right? Price is indeed moving very, very bullish. We've now cleared the structure, so we don't know if we're gonna retrace, but if we do, we could look for a potential long with a pullback, right? We can see that we're tapping into this block over here. Let me remove this. We're now tapping into this block, right? Based on the higher time frame, once again, we know that we can expect a bullish pullback to unfold, to test, once again, some of these blocks below the liquidity pool. Very, very important fact to this particular scenario in price, which is unique, right? You could look for a long to go long, but I would not do that. Once again, we're anticipating price to move bullish right at this point, right? And now we're testing the zone on the left, so we could expect rejections over here. Let me actually draw this properly for you guys. This is a trouble area where price could be struggling to move, but we know that based on the higher time frame, we should push through that. So you can see we're moving very, very bullish as we've anticipated. And as we go and trade into those blocks, we need to then gauge whether we're going to move up, whether we're going to break through these blocks that I'm going to highlight for you guys over here, this one and this one, based on the fact that we've cleared the pull on the left, or if we're just moving up to retrace and then drop further down, right? Both scenarios are open in my opinion, and both scenarios are probable. So yeah, let's wait and see, to be honest, over here. Let me draw this out in time so that we do not miss this. This would be a potential area to look for a short or a rejection or a pullback to unfold. Even though we could technically push through it based on the narrative that the liquidity pool has been cleared on the left, right? So I don't want to waste too much time. Let's actually speed this up a little. Let's see if we're going to be making it up there or if we're going to be getting some other information. Okay, so look, right? We've pretty much created a high right below the liquidity, the block. So this could be a liquidity grab into the area that could unfold, something like this, and then this, or we could just start dropping now, which could happen since we're building lots of liquidity over here, right? We have some sort of imbalances over here that could see a fill. So we don't really know if we're gonna drop down or if we're gonna tap the blocks and then drop down, or if we're gonna push through based on the pull, right? So we will have to wait and see, to be honest. So yeah, we've cleared the high once again. We're starting to chop. We're starting to consolidate right below our POI, which is usually good. So yeah, let's see what's gonna happen. Now we've indeed tapped into the area and you can see we're starting to get some reactions, but we have to look because once again we've broken over here. We could see a tap and a move further up on as well. So yeah, right, but once again you would want to confirm this area by watching the order flow on the lower time frame. You don't want to be doing business blind unless you want to do so with reduced risk and based on your overall understanding, right? So yeah, it could be a potential trade to go short over there, right? As you can see, we do get some reactions, but we eventually push through. Now you have to look on the left and you have to continue tracking different areas of interest. This is what you have to do. You have to be going through this block now and say, hey, what's going to happen over here? What's going to happen at this FU over here? And we're very likely to see some sort of reaction unless we're going to clear the highs very, very aggressively, right? So we're going through quite a bit of price action now, and you can see we're starting to push very, very bullish. And yeah, this was once again, as I said, as price broke above this over here, this particular structure point, we said that we were very bullish since we have cleared the lows, and there could be an opportunity for a long, and you can see how that ran very, very precisely, right? So with all that being said, guys, I don't want to make this too long. We've gone through quite a bit of price action. We've done quite a bit of explaining, and this should function now as a great video in terms of understanding the higher time frame bias, the different time frames that we use to trade and why we use them and what we use them for, and how to anticipate potential price movement, right? So just to summarize the main takeaways of this video, I'm gonna be writing them over here, right? So you need a bias direction. What is price doing? Where is it potentially going, and why? Right, so we said that. We said if we go to the daily, you can see exactly what happened, right? We said that below this pool of liquidity, we could see shorts being trapped right over here, and we could see them being squeezed to the upside based on the fact that we've cleared the pool of liquidity, so we could have a complex pullback before we drop further down. That was option number one, right? Option number two, we said that we could just simply trade below the pool as we were, pull back into the block over here, which we identified, to then drop further down, right? Those were the main two scenarios that we have built by looking at the higher time frame. Scenario one, the grab on the pool, the squeeze up. Scenario number two, the retracement into a supply zone block to then drop further down. Those were the two main scenarios really that we had understood. So that's one of the main takeaways, right? Now, takeaway number two, you must understand the bigger picture in order to anticipate price movement. Don't get stuck on the lower time frame price action, right? Very, very simple stuff that we went through today. So please keep those ideas in mind. Always refer back to your daily and weekly time frame to gauge where price is potentially headed and how it's going to get there, right? Very, very important. Focus on understanding your different time frames. Focus on repeating a simple process. As an example, we're going to use different colors and then we're going to wrap the video up. We have the daily and weekly, which we use for overall direction and market understanding, not structure analysis or anything, or liquidity or anything of that sort, right? And once again, when I say liquidity, I don't mean ignore obvious pools, just like we had over here, but don't get caught up in the wicks over here trying to gauge what is what on the lower time frame, right? Look for the bigger picture. And the bigger picture here was that liquidity was resting here, that liquidity is resting here as well, that we had some imbalance to fill from here to here, and that we had a potential retracement unfolding or a squeeze up because shorts have been trapped below the pool, right? So that is that. So that is the overall direction and market understanding. Let's use red now, and we have the 1 hour till the 30 minutes. You can include any time frame in between as well. That's absolutely fine. We want to use this for structure analysis, liquidity pools, POI selection, right? And we're going to use green to finish this up, which is the 15 minute till the 1 minute. You want to use this for refinements. You want to use this for refinements and executions, right? Which once again, I've done multiple videos on smart money confirmations. So if you go through my channel, you should not have a problem identifying that over there. So with all that being said, guys, thank you very much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. Remember that different time frames serve different purposes, so keep that in mind. With all that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. The link of the mentorship will be found in the description below. You'll have my website, IPDAtrader.com, where you will gain access to the mentorship. We do weekly calls, Zoom calls, live trading, market mapping on Sundays, fundamental recaps on Mondays. So we're very, very active trying to provide a great service for active subscribers. So take care, everybody. I will see you very soon. And thank you very much for listening.